entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now, a galaxy from far, far away lovers. Matt Haywood here with entertainmentbuddha.com to review Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the first ever standalone Star Wars movie that is directed by Gareth Edwards. I must first warn everyone that there will be what I call light spoilers, but I will not expose any of the main plot, nor will I ruin the plethora of cameos and nods to the previous released Star Wars films and cartoons. Sound good? Alright, grab your blasters and let's do this. If you go into your first screening of Rogue One thinking that you've seen most of its quotable moments in the 10,000 trailers that released for it, you're gravely mistaken. In fact, most of the iconic trailer moments have all been cut from the final film, more than likely due to the extensive reshoots we all panicked about over the summer. Now, I'm not saying that the version we got is terrible by any means. In fact, I consider it to be one of the most exciting Star Wars movies to date. But being the super fan that I am, and someone who craves Star Wars knowledge as if it were food, I can't help but wonder what Edwards' original cut looked like. I mean, there are a ton of major moments from the trailers missing that fundamentally changed the beginning and climax of the film, which in turn probably changed how characters were portrayed, as well as the flow and tone of the narrative. Here are just a few trailer moments which were still being used through last week's promotions, but aren't in the finished film. 20th anniversary extended cut, anyone? Maybe the triple secret director's cut special edition re-release? I must know what changed narratively. Anyway, enough with the deleted scenes rant, because in the end we got a fantastic film that can easily be discussed along with the other great Star Wars films from the Skywalker saga. I credit this to Edwards' ability to craft mind-blowing cinematic shots, as well as his attention to practical effects and killer action set pieces. It's very clear that this dude understands Star Wars and where his film fits into its lore. He nailed the essence of the film and very much made it feel like a proper Star Wars movie. Hell, it has more Star Wars in it than the prequels combined. So while Gareth struggles with character development, his artistic vision and skill with telling a tale with massive scope can't be denied. You will be blown away by the cinematography, which is easily the key to Rogue One's success. Some of the shots Edwards and his DP cooked up are the best to ever be featured in the Star Wars saga. The scenes set in space are easily the most amazing and caused my jaw to drop more than once. The way the Death Star was shot and framed made it look more imposing than it ever was before, and seeing its weapons tests were things of destructive beauty. The final battle itself is another shining moment that stands out in Rogue One thanks to its focus on the main characters and the sacrifices they're willing to make to get the Death Star plans. It definitely gave the movie a warlike feel, and I did manage to get a little emotional when a few of the main characters went down for the rebellion's cause. So while Edwards isn't known for character development, he, and possibly Tony Gilroy, managed to create some authentic emotional send-offs. With that being said, I did find the character development with Jyn Erso, who is wonderfully portrayed by Felicity Jones, to feel a bit off and rushed. I credit a part of this to the reshoots, because like I mentioned earlier, the beginning of the film is missing more than a few scenes from the trailers, which tended to portray her more as an arrogant badass. In the final cut, she's still a very capable female lead, but her character doesn't nearly come off as cocky as she does in the trailers. This lack of development with her and Cassian Andor, who is played by Diego Luna, and a character I found to be very likable, does make some of the later plot moments feel a bit convenient and glossed over for time's sake. I just never really bought in that the core team really cared that much for each other, but I did find them to be portrayed in a way where they cared for the rebellion's cause, so in the end, their bond with each other is believable, but could have been much deeper with a bit more character development. Since I'm going through some of my concerns with Rogue One, I must also mention its score, which I predicted wouldn't resonate with me like the other films that were scored by the man who made Star Wars sound the way it does, John Williams. Now, Mike G is no slouch, but I just didn't find the musical themes in Rogue One to have the same emotional impact as those present in the Skywalker saga films. He used a few of Williams' themes, but also created many of his own, but they just did not resonate with me. The intro theme when the Rogue One title splashed on screen literally sounded like something you'd find in a cartoon. It just sounded cheap and out of place. I credit Williams' music more than anything else for my emotional responses to the iconic scenes in the Star Wars saga, but I can't say the same for Mike G's. They just don't have the same impact, which in turn makes the film's narrative a little less emotionally charged. Although this and the lack of character development can all be overlooked thanks to the multitude of nods and cameos from Star Wars films past. I'll only mention the obvious cameo by Tarkin, who is in a trailer, and for the fact that at first his CGI face feels way off, but luckily it starts to feel a bit more real as the movie goes on. The other cameos are just too awesome to reveal, so you'll just have to trust me that Edwards knew exactly what he was doing with each one. There are even nods to Star Wars Rebels, so Rogue One drops story cannon bombs left and right that diehards will appreciate and respect. Even those can't stand up to the best part of this film though, which is Darth Vader. He's only in the movie for short stints, but my Force God are they stunning. The first time we get to see him is a complete homage to Star Wars lore and was awesome to see in live action setting. But the final time we see him easily stands out as the best scene in the film, if not the best 30 to 45 seconds in the entire saga. I won't spoil it for you, but just be prepared to see Vader unlike you've ever seen him on the screen before. It's worth the price of admission alone. One must also appreciate a few of the new supporting characters. Chirrut Imwe, Baze Malbus, and K2SO are standouts for sure, but most of the new characters were portrayed competently and gave fans reason to care about them and remember their deeds. K2SO is a great foil to C-3PO, as he's a smartass to the nth degree, but also packs in most of the humor in Rogue One. The two former Force monks also have a great bond and provide some of the film's best moments and dialogue. I also found Krennic to be an interesting antagonist, but I'd love to know what he would have been like if his scenes from the trailer weren't cut. It felt like he had more to offer than what we were given, but either way, he's a standout Imperial officer that won't be forgotten anytime soon. For the first standalone Star Wars movie experiment, I don't think we could have asked for much more than what Rogue One offered. I would love to see the original cut, but the version in theaters is definitely entertaining and well worth seeing more than once. While the characters lacked a bit of development, the visual presentation, action, cameos, and nods to the franchise more than make up for it. Outside of the less than stellar musical score, there isn't much to critique about the film, unless you want to treat it like real life as some professional critics do with movies of this nature. Rogue One kicks ass, plain and simple, so it earns itself an exemplary 98 out of 100 review score. Thanks for watching, and remember to say your Force prayers before bedtime, because we are all one with the Force, and the Force is with us. There's that and the fact that entertainmentbuddha.com will make you a better geek one post at a time, so make sure your browsers are tuned to our pages on a daily basis. May the Force be with you, always.